guys talked about how the team can learn more from a loss and a win. And I think Cards even at this point, he's got a game like last week, it benefits the team going forward. And I'm wondering if that feeling of what it's like to lose a game, is that something that you hope the team remembers off a game like that, or does it still come down to the X's and O's executing better going forward?
Yeah, I mean, losing's brutal. You do not want to lose. Losing, you know, it's just not a good feeling. But what you have to do as a coach and as a player is, in this sport, is you have to immediately pick yourself right back up. You know, I allow them maybe 12 hours of mourning period, and then they have to pick themselves back up because you have an opponent on the horizon that's a good opponent. And what I've learned from these kids is they are resilient. They come into the office on Sunday on their own. So that's their day off. They're watching film on their own. They're getting treatment. And they're ready to go on Monday. And you know, what you can learn from a loss is, okay, you know, we lost to a team that's a good team. We didn't play our best. They played very well. In order for us to beat that team last week, we had to play a lot better. We understand, both from a coaching standpoint and from a playing standpoint, what we need to do better. And those are good things. You know, you can really see where you need to improve. And so hopefully that's what we do. Hopefully we learn from it and we move on and we do the best we can to get a win this week.
Dan Gelston, Associated Press.
You mentioned that you wanted to see Christian show up on 5 or 6 mistakes a game. What do you see right now he needs his most improvement?
You know, just continuing to improve with his knowledge of the offense, continuing to basically take it one play at a time, forget the poor play and move on to the next play. Manage the game, continue to do a good job of managing the game, which I thought, you know, for this early in his career, he's done a pretty good job of managing the game. And, you know, continue off of last week, taking care of the ball. You know, that's important. And so I think there's, you know, a lot of things that everybody can improve on every single day, and those are the things that he's going to try to improve on.
Chris Adamski from the Tribune Review.
Hey, Bill, just wondering if, the naked, untrained media eye or whatever to evaluate offensive linemen, I know you see the tape about Adam Brett, how he performed on Saturday, and then also, along with that, when you go to the war there, do you evaluate that like series to series or week to week in practice? How do you decide who plays when you have two guys like that who are kind of sharing a spot, week to week or play to play or series to series, whatever it might be?
Right. First of all, Adam played a good game on Saturday and probably played his best game. You know, he's a big, strong guy, Pittsburgh guy, great kid, and he played his best game. We evaluate that in a lot of different ways. We evaluate that position because, you know, Gary Gilliam has had a good year too, and he did some good things on Saturday as well. So, you know, we look at the previous game, we grade that game, who's playing better coming out of that game, and then we really, you know, look at practice. You know, who practices the best on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That's the only thing that's fair to the guys, and we don't just hide it. We show it to them on film. We say, hey, look, you know, here are the clips where, you know, this guy did a little bit better than you, and this is why he's going to start the game. But in that situation, really, in many ways, it doesn't matter who starts the game because they're both going to play an equal amount, and you know, they've both played fairly well to this point in the season, and that'll continue, I'm sure.
Okay, Brian, at this point, we'll take questions here in the media room. Please raise your hand. We'll bring a microphone to you.
Hey, Bill. I wonder how you would evaluate the play of your young corners, and how much of a learning experience was it for them playing against a quarterback of that caliber?
Yeah, no, they learned a lot last week, and they had their share of good plays, and they had their share of not so good plays. Obviously, start with Lucas. I think Lucas is a really, really good player. He's tough. He's strong. He's got good size, good ball skills. He made his share of mistakes on Saturday, but he also made some really good plays. He had a great tackle on the 5-yard line. One of their drives, he's just a fantastic kid. He'll get better and better and better because he works extremely hard. And really, I can say the same thing for Trevor. Trevor Williams, he's just a fantastic kid. Just like all of us, made his share of mistakes on Saturday, but has come back to work on Monday, yesterday, worked really hard. He'll get better and better and better. You know, one of the things there is, remember, you know, he was a receiver last year. So really, it's only his third game at corner. That's no excuse. We expect these guys to go out and play well, but, you know, these are young guys. Jordan Lucas, you know, really it's only his second year in the program. And, you know, he didn't play a whole lot last year. So, you know, like you said, there's a lot of improvement to make, but there's also a lot of really good plays that they made out there too.
Bill, you mentioned some of the positives that you've taken defensively from the game, albeit, you know, not the best defensive effort. How important is it that you guys, you know, don't overreact and try to over-adjust tactically on the defensive side of practice this week?
Yeah, we don't overreact. You know, we just come back to work on Sunday and try to review what they did against us, and we give them credit. You know, Central Florida, they did a good job on offense, and they had some things on defense that gave us some problems, and so we look at that and how people attack us and try to improve and learn from that. We don't overreact. We have a lot of confidence in our players. We have confidence in our coaching ability, and you know, we know that there's improvement to make every single day. That's why we love coaching. That's why we you know, can't wait to get back to practice on Mondays. And you know, we're not changing. All we're going to do is try to improve the things that we do and figure it out from there. You know, and that's just the way it goes. That's coaching, and that's what we'll try to do.
Bill, Christian said on Saturday that after his Winnick's fumble, he came over and had a word and tried to lift him up. I'm just wondering if that's the result of maybe you telling him not to be shy and taking on that role, or if that's something he does naturally, and just what it's like having an 18-year-old quarterback who's already doing stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I think he does that naturally, Josh. I mean, I think that he's a guy that, you know, like I said, he's a mature kid. You know, I think nowadays when you look at recruiting, you know, which you know a lot about, you know, these kids are exposed to so much even before they get here. They've spoken to the media. Their picture's been on the front of magazines. They're a little bit, hopefully, not all of them obviously, but some of these guys like Christian are, you know, they're kind of ready for this. You know, they're ready for the lights in some way, shape, or form. And so I think, you know, he has the personality to deal with his teammates, and you know, he's a buddy of Zach's, and everybody felt bad for Zach. You know, nobody felt worse than Zach, and I didn't know he did that, but that's, you know, of course, I'm always talking about being a leader and doing those things, but I think at the end of the day, that's something that he did on his own.
Two things. You mentioned all these teams are doing the thud. The NFL does the thud, and your players, you seem to think it's not that big of a deal. Why do you think the public and/or the media sees it? Is it just an easy excuse, maybe, for us to look at?
Yeah, I try to. It's probably my fault, Corey. You know, because I came out and talked to people about the way we practice, and you know, I think it's not unique. The way we practice is not unique. There's hundreds of teams out there that practice the same way we practice. It's not unique at all. I mean, I've been places where we never hit. You know, I've been places where we hit every day and we couldn't tackle anybody. You know what I mean? So it has nothing to do with that, and that's just it has to do with proper technique. It has to do with wanting to make the tackle. It has to do with being aligned properly. It has to do with how you take the block on. It has to do with a lot of things, and it will improve. You know, again, I give credit to Central Florida. You know, they're a good football team, and they have some good skilled players, and you know, sometimes we tackled them, and sometimes we didn't. And so we watched the tape. We learned from it. We hit. You know, we hit in practice. Well, 9 on 7 today. We probably hit at Penn State more than a lot of teams hit that are out there. So it has nothing whatsoever to do with that.
And on a little bit of a different note, you started your press conference talking about that before you were asked, and you mentioned Derek Williams, the thing listed on the radio. Do you pay a lot of attention to what is written and or said about the team throughout the season? Is that something that you'll focus on a little bit?
I always, I probably read, that's a good question. I probably try to read about 5 or 6 articles a day. That's what I try to do so that I'm as prepared as I can possibly be for this right here. But again, that takes me like 15 minutes. Nothing against your writing. I mean, it's fantastic writing. It doesn't take me long. I pick 5 or 6 articles, or Tony, he'll send me 5 or 6 articles, and I'll just read up and see what's being said. I think that's important. That's part of my job as the head football coach here, is to make sure that I know what's going on, not just in that little office there, you know, where my film room is and all those things, you know. So I try to do that. But, you know, That's what I do. That's what I do.
No.
I don't tweet, I don't Facebook, I don't do the, what is it, blog or whatever. I don't do all that stuff. You know, I just read the articles.
Bill, you were asked in the post game about third down.
Yeah.
Third down. Is that symptomatic of not just, not just third down, but is it something else? Is it, maybe, what's going on, obviously what's going on first and second down is putting you in a long situation on third down. Is it decision making from, not from, but from the quarterback position or play calling, like,
Yeah,
how do you fix it?
Yeah, no, we'll fix it. I think it's, one of the things too is there's a big picture deal here that you have to look at too. Look at the amount of points we scored in 3 games. It's pretty good. It's not great, but it's over 30 points a game, which is good. The bottom line is you need to score points. I think we're 10 for 10 in the red area, which is good. Once we get the ball in the scoring zone, we're scoring. We're pretty good on fourth down, so that's good. I think we've only missed maybe 1 or 2 fourth downs, so that's pretty good. And then, so you look at third down, and we've studied it a lot over the last 2 days. Part of it's we got to call better plays. I have to call better plays. Part of it's we have to execute better. Part of it's what we're doing. Part of it is we're 1st and 10, and then we get a holding call, and it's 1st and 16, and we're behind the 8 ball. We're behind schedule. So I believe it'll improve because I do think we're a decent offense. I don't think we're where we want to be yet, but I think it's just one of those things that is not very good right now and needs to improve. Believe me, I get it, but I think it will improve.
Bill, you briefly touched on wanting to improve your punting situation. I guess with Alex, what can you do with him one-on-one to kind of work with him? Is there anybody on the staff who has a background in punting or anything like that?
Yeah, no, I work with him, and Larry Johnson works with him quite a bit. Yeah, so we both have a background in that, and we work with him closely, and he works hard. He really does. He comes to work every day, and I don't mean to say that he's punting poorly. I just think he's inconsistent. I think we have to get him to be more consistent. I have to get him to be more consistent because he can boom in practice, and then I've seen him do in the game 45-yarder, 46-yarder, and then he's got the 32-yarder. So I just want him to be more consistent. That's what we're trying to do with him in practice.
To follow that up, Sam Ficken, when he was kind of struggling, he talked about working with Robbie Gould and eliminating a chop step from his approach.
Yeah.
Is that a fundamental thing with Alex? I mean, with punting, how can you kind of dial that?
Yeah, well, obviously it starts with fundamentals. It's not to get into all the details of punting, but when the ball's, the snap has to be better, because it all works with the snap. If the snap's out of the framework of your body and you try to kick it out of the framework of your body, you're going to have a bad kick. So you've got to get the ball back into the tunnel of your body and kick the ball straight. You can't cross-leg it. If you cross-leg it, the ball's going to end up going, not very far. So there's so many things that he has to do. And then, obviously, to me, it's about, hey, look, Alex, I told him yesterday, I think you're a good punter. So let's have some confidence in going out there and booming the ball. And that's what we're talking about.
Bill,